press one of these things. Recording has started, and I could see someone popping up. Where shall we start? First of all, thank you for joining us. I know that many people are studying. They have exams. We still don't know when is Fintech exam going to be, but hopefully everybody is studying also for Fintech as well. And I know that some people will be just watching a recording, so we will do this properly. So this recording will be made available. And I'm really glad that at least 4 students have decided to join us. So they will be lucky ones who can ask you all sorts of questions, right?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Because I have promised this to be informal, enjoyable chat. We are finished with absolutely everything. Only exam is moving, and you can see all these little thumbs going up. So why don't we start in a very simple way? Would you like to introduce yourself? Imagine that you're doing this elevator pitch. You know how to do it. Just do it. Tell these people who you are, and how did you come? Please go ahead.
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity of coming back and being a part of this session. And to all the 4 people that are here, thank you so much for being a part. And I wish I can help you as much as I can with all my insights and experience in this industry and how it all started for me. So, just to give you a little gist about who I am and what I do, my name is Lilani, and like you, I was also a student of like a master's at the Queen Mary University, and I was lucky enough to be in professors' lectures, and I used to love fintech, and in general, I love the world of startups, and I did my master's in investment banking. And while pursuing the same course, I started working as well. So I was working with Red Ribbon Asset Management. I was handling the CEO's desk when I started working with them. And because it's an asset management company, they do have a subsidiary company or a group company that's Crowd Invest. And that's when I met the co-founder of Crowd Invest, and I heard his idea and his pitch about what he's planning to do with the company. So Crowd Invest is a cross-border investment platform that helps startups and investors. So it helps startups fundraise, and it assists investors who are wanting to invest in these startups. And also, like I mentioned, it's a cross-border startup investment platform. So any investor, anybody who wants to hold equity or wants to support a startup or wants to fund a startup, sitting anywhere in the world can access that. And I instantly fell in love with the idea, and I wanted to join his team. So I'm one of the early employees at Crowd Invest. And yeah, we're just building Crowd Invest. So that's what I do currently. And in the part of the process, I do get to meet a lot of founders. I do interact with a lot of fintech companies, a lot of other sorts of companies, as we are sector agnostic. So it's just crazy fun to meet founders. Yeah. So that was me in short.
No, this is very good, and this will make all these people listening to us understanding why was exam set up in that way last year and kept in the same format this year as well. So they will understand why this emphasis on startup, why that question on startup valuation, on funding stages, etc. You are the very explanation why is it necessary. Now, if I try to switch back to Queen Mary experience and electives, just to slowly get used to fintech specifics, looking back while doing your master thesis, do you which electives and courses did you find useful, and did you miss anything? Do you feel that you wanted to do something like, I don't know, mergers and acquisitions or valuations more specifically? Was anything missing in your master that now you regret, an elective that you wanted to take, you didn't have time, you could not? What was missing from curriculum or syllabus? anything?
Well, I guess so because I did my master's in investment banking. The electives that I had was already like I did mergers and acquisitions, I did private equity and venture capital, and I also had fintech. So I guess my plate was full. I was quite happy and with what I took. But besides that, I mean, I feel that even today, I feel that there is so much to learn with the startup ecosystem evolving every day with like now chat gpt and ai is trending. That's the buzz that's there currently. And basically like I'm learning new things every day. So today also while we are trying to integrate new processes and we're trying to add more and more innovation to our processes so that we can make it more trustworthy, more accountable, and more secure, we're trying and testing new products every day, or when we work with partnerships as well. So I feel that there is no end to learning. And but yeah, that's what we have to keep doing. But as when it comes to university, I was quite happy that I got all of these 3 modules that were very formative. And it there were 2 things to it. That there was one that it just added, like I was always curious, and because I took these electives, I learned more, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to work for. This is the field that I want to study more in depth. And yeah, so I'm quite happy like that.
You are a lucky one because all your options are actually very useful, because I feel that some other
Yeah.
people doing banking or I don't know something else might have missed some electives, but clearly you are a perfect candidate. Now, if I start zooming or double clicking into fintech, if you remember anything from the last year, we had several domains, and these people went through the very same set of domains. And do you feel that any of these particular domains that I've tried to cover was worth studying, or have I missed anything? What should I do in the next year? Any feedback on fintech syllabus itself?
Well, speaking about the syllabus, I don't think so. I mean, studying all of those electives was essential, of course, but the elective, the thing that I work for today is more inclined towards crowdfunding. So that's quite interesting to me. I feel that the way the whole system works is super, super interesting. But to start off, like I said, that you cannot cover everything in a particular, like, because it was what, a couple of months that we studied fintech, and fintech in itself is so vast. There are so many types of companies. There's regtech, insurtech, and most of them, like, you were covering the big chunks of those. But the more you get into the processes, the more complex it gets and the more interesting it gets. So I believe, so what I did while besides attending your lectures was also going back, researching about companies that are in that specific domain, studying what their processes are like, getting, like, reading more about this industry. And that kind of, like, just helped me. And during my interviews also, here and there, like today also, when I talk to people, it just adds up, that I gain that kind of knowledge. But because, like I said, that you have only limited time, so I feel that the way you've designed your syllabus, it was quite nice. But this would just be my general advice, that if you're really interested in being or working in this industry, specific to fintech also, it's always better to keep reading and to use all of these, to understand where all of this is being used, what are the use cases, what companies are doing what, and just following that.
Thank you, Zil, which makes perfect sense. Maybe next year you should be joining us for a seminar in week 2, when I'm going to cover crowdfunding yet again. And then my job will be much easier. Thank you for this feedback. Now, you see, time flies. We already spent 10 minutes chatting, and I should start asking people who are politely listening without making any noise or comments. If anyone would like any questions to ask, I can see Ajay, for example, unmuting myself. Ajay, would you like to ask something? Please go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Zil.
Good evening.
My name is Ajay. Past, I was working with Punjab National Bank in India for 5 years, and currently I'm studying banking and finance. During I did an internship with Bayfika, that was a fintech firm for cross-border remittances. So I did an internship for that. I did the framework, wireframe things, marketing things. So I just want to know, like, what approach should I uh, do to get in the fintech jobs?
What approach, as in for your interviews or just in like
To get
general?
in the just in general.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Well, just be, I guess there are a couple of things, like you can just be very open to learning new things, as like the technology is evolving every single day. Be
Yes.
open to new things, network as much as possible. So this is what I did. Like there are a lot of, our university in itself does provide us a stage where we can network with a lot of like your alumni or your career counseling cells. They also host a lot of events. In and out, you can talk to people in the industry. Make sure that you make the most use of your LinkedIn network. Or there are a lot of mixer events that happen, and very specific to fintech as well. So you can just scout, look up, I guess, Eventbrite. And that's where, like, I did find a couple of events, and I did connect with a lot of people in the industry, talk to a lot of fintech founders. If like at these events only, you get to meet a lot of them. So
Okay.
if there is any particular idea that you really are passionate about, and you feel that you've already worked, like you said that you've already worked for a remittance app back in India, and then maybe if you could use that experience and knowledge into their business, wherever you can contribute to your business, make sure that you pitch it to them, and perhaps that will be like the starting point for you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Great if I could help you.
Can you share your LinkedIn? Like, can we get connected on LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll share it on the chat. Like
No,
right away.
I'll send you, like, I have find you on the LinkedIn. I'll send you the
Oh,
request.
definitely. I'll be happy to connect. And if at all, if you ever come out with doubts or anything, I'm more than happy to help you or connect you with somebody as well if I meet somebody.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, Ajay. It seems that we managed to break the ice so easily. And for Coward Invest, even I have applied to receive more information. So I'm still in the waiting room, whatever that is. And there was this little checkbox, do you want to invest in Indian startups? So I left it ticked. So maybe with some help, there will be a few interesting investment opportunities. That's great. So I can see 3 other people as well. Would anyone else have any questions? Azim, Yuksay, Chen? I mean, do we have any other questions or comments? Or everybody is just listening carefully?
Just grasping knowledge.
Let them grasp.
Yeah, because even I was quite shy. I remember, like, during my university days or something, I'm like, just listen quietly, grasp whatever I can, and then, yeah.
Well, yeah, I had, I think I have 60 students, so this is not a very representative sample. But we are interactive. We are now being recorded as well. While these people are thinking, can you just pick something recently, without naming any names, like a case study, an interesting fintech startup opportunity, just try to describe in very broad terms what people do, or what this I don't know, something to indicate this deal flow, or something that you found interesting that is worth investing. Just imagine that you are going to pitch something to us. Just try to select from top of your mind someone, a lovely fintech idea, and tell us what domain these people do, something that you can share just to illustrate what you are doing professionally, and then maybe people will come back with some questions if you can, please.
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess I don't know. There's loads of information that goes back to my head, but a couple of interesting things, like so there was one study that I was just reading about, of how ChatGPT or this AI models can kind of they didn't say like it cannot replace humans any day, anywhere, but it does say that, you know, you can make a lot of your processes much more efficient. Like, for instance, these fintechs, they kind of started using AI bots for their chat bots and everything. Like, you know, they used AI for their chat bots to streamline the process or make the user experience better. So that was quite interesting to see how that's changing. What else did I recently off the bat read was there's
let me
one.
help you while you are thinking. So it would be
Yeah.
very difficult even for my students to classify that fintech app. I'm not going to. Oh yeah, Ajay, how would you like to classify this opportunity? Please go ahead.
No, actually, I was talking about the things like you had asked. I want to ask a question, one more. Like, what your
Yeah.
opinion regarding current fintech market? Like, as a job seeker, what are the current market scenario, and what companies are looking for? What qualities of the candidates they are looking for?
Well, I can't speak for all the companies or what they are looking for, but in a very general view, I believe that fintech is a growing space. Any kind of startups, irrespective of what the news says, I feel that it's kind of growing space. There is no VC winters anywhere. People are getting funded. Startups are doing good. There are investors who are wanting to deploy their capital, and things are moving. Maybe at a slower pace, depending upon the country that you are speaking about, but things are moving at their own pace. So that's one. And it's a growing field. So I don't think so there is ever going to be like no fintech at all. Technology has replaced a lot of our processes, streamlined a lot of our processes. So that's always going to be there. What a hiring manager would look for in a candidate may vary depending upon what company and what industry or what specific, how big or small that organization is. So that requirements may vary. So I can just give you a very general outlook to that. I could say that, you know, maybe they want to just understand your perspective, your grades. Like, I would say that they matter, but there is an extent to what they matter. In the long run, it's only about how well you are with working in a team under pressure, and what your perspective is when it comes to problem solving. So if they can understand that from, I guess that's why they have those psychometric tests, and that's why we value a psychometric test over just going through a resume and just the grades. So that kind of has been replaced, and I guess a lot of companies here are just following the psychometric tests, and whatever they give you a quantitative test also, depending upon, again, varying upon job roles to job roles. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so Ajay is happy. I've got one question in chat, which is coming from Chem, who's got some audio problems, and I'll just read it to you. And the question was, what is your protocol or method of discovering or researching fintech companies? Which is obviously, how do you get this deal flow going through?
So for deal flow for crowd invest, there are two things. Like, startups just reach out to me very directly. My email address and everything's out there. So that's one, the direct inflow that we get. Secondly, we also have partnered with a couple of angel networks and funds who are trying to raise funds for the startups that are there in their portfolio, and they require bridge capital. So we get access to those kind of startups as well. But yeah, mostly it's the direct ones that come to us, and then we do a couple of checks, and then yeah, we onboard them. So yeah, that's how it is.
Thank you. So I hope that Chem will react to this. It said
No
thank you,
problem.
which is nice, which
Yeah.
also invites another question. Does it mean that you're obviously building up your own database, and obviously these companies are not going to be on these professional data sources like, I don't know, Prequel or deal room, etc. But does it mean that you are not subscribing to any other databases, or do you?
Oh no, so far we've subscribed to Deal Room, so that's also there. But the thing is that because ourselves we are also building Crowd Invest, so we are quite small. So the kind of volume of data that we can handle at the moment is it just matches up. So the kind of startups that come to us, we've already had like our plates full. But going forward, we will of course have Deal Room to help us out and get access to more and more early stage startups. Also networking kind of helps. There are so many founders that we get in touch with at events and stuff like that. So currently we are also going to be a part of a fintech summit that's happening. Also, there are so many events in London that keep on happening. So we just are present wherever we have to be. And that's also one organic way of meeting new founders.
Thank you. That is actually a good answer. And I feel sorry that for some reason, it seems that at some universities, students get opportunities to attend some of these exhibitions easily. So the autumn one in November, Fintech Expo, my students from UCL found it very easy to get tickets, etc. But there are no large events that would be offering free tickets to students this time in this term. Maybe there will be something in June. But do you believe that, I mean, ideally, we should exchange this information if there are events that would, or meetups that are offering free tickets to students, please let me know and I will let students know, because we need to network, as you've said. I know that Fintech Circle did summer drinks last week. Fintech Circle is one of many communities, but clearly we have to use these opportunities, and we are all lucky to be in London, which is very diverse, and my students from Coventry, Warwick Business Schools cannot do what we could do, just turn up at one place in central London, and that is the great opportunity. Thank you.
No, for sure. I mean, I guess, sorry, just to add one or two bits to that. So I don't know if about free tickets, but you could try this one thing that kind of worked for a couple of my friends. I have not tried it, but I know of people who've tried it. If you write to their organizers, or sometimes it could just help that, if you're a student, they could give you a minimum discount or somewhere. The kind of events, there are certain events that are a little cheaper to your pocket. There are events, I don't remember, I can't recollect the name, but they cost around, the ticket costs around £25 or so. So, which is not way too much. It's probably a dinners, but the more you can be at these events, you gain knowledge, and you also get to understand what people are talking about, what startups, what innovation is going to come next. It just helps because academics of course help you to understand. That's the base that you require. There is no replacement to that. But also, if you can understand the use cases, if you can talk to these startups and see where they are actually using this technology, it kinds of just it's magical. You can remember things better, you can network, you can apply all of that you've learned at university and make the most out of it.
Yeah, thank you. That is a very good advice. And some of these meetups, you're absolutely correct. And 25 pounds is well worth spending money in London rather than, I don't know, in a pub, etc. And if I can just push this question forward and a bit, do you believe that some of these startups that are around London would be happy to organize internships? Are there any possibilities of summer placements, or that is something that only large companies are able to offer?
Oh no, definitely.
Please?
So you could also check this website that's called Angel List, if you all have heard of it. I'm not quite sure if you all have heard, but do check that out. So Angel List generally has startups that are looking for I mean, there are various roles that you could apply to, and yeah, so there you'll find a lot of startups that are hiring, and then they're not mainly based in the UK. There could be a startup that's from the US or anywhere, any part of the world that's hiring. You could check that. There is also another one if you are looking for core VC. Then there is, I guess, one called VC Industry. I could probably share the links with you, and then you could
Thank
share
you.
it out to the students. Then, yeah, you'll find a lot of startups that are hiring any different kind of roles. There are some tech-based roles, there are some finance-focused roles, but anything that could help the students. I'll just share those links with you.
Thank you. That is very useful. And
Yeah.
I guess all this is implying also that you don't need to be a techie or a geek or a quant to get this sort of job, because behind every single fintech startup is also a business, which means that CEOs and CFOs and CMOs, etc., are equally, if not more important than just a CTO. That is absolutely fine.
And also,
please.
sorry, I was just saying
Go
that,
ahead.
and also being a part of the startup, I guess you're never really doing like one thing. So the reason why I wanted to be in a startup was so that I get exposure to different things. Someday I'm taking care of some bit, and someday I'm like, even looking at some other things like tech related things or compliance related things or regulatory related things. So one of the other things that Crowd Invest is, so we are also FCA compliant. We are the appointed representatives of a principal entity. And yeah, so, there are so many things that I get to learn where my background may not be compliance, but I am exposed to it in a certain way. So it's good to learn. So yeah, like I said, that always have an attitude that where you want to learn more and more, and then life will just be easier. That's my
Thank you,
perspective.
Jill. No,
I could
that's
be
brilliant.
completely wrong, but
You're
yeah.
actually ideal fit for week 2, because in week 2 I managed to put regulation and crowdfunding or alternative finance, and being FCA regulated entity or FCA authorized person is very important. I managed to survive for 22, 23 years as one, and that is bread and butter in some situations. Just one more round to check if anyone else have decided to ask any questions through chat or to be very vocal, like Ajay. If not, we can keep... Oh, Ajay, once again, welcome. Hello, we recognize this face.
Like, I don't know if this question is relevant or not, but I want to get a bit knowledge about APIs, like how APIs are working in fintech startups. What are the main sources of API, if you can get the brief or idea?
I mean, again, like I said, that fintech is quite a wide scope, but depending upon what startup you are at. So maybe, like, for instance, I would say like payment gateway could be one of the APIs, because being a startup, you can't really develop each and every process in-house. So that is when we rely on APIs or third-party APIs that can help us streamline that process. So one of the examples that I could give you, like I said, is a payment gateway. So if you are building a startup tomorrow or working for a startup, they might have the payment gateway that somebody else is taking care of, or your KYCs that somebody else is taking care of, that you rely on, basically for your processes.
Okay. And like during your crowd invest experience, what countries or what kind of startups are more aggressive?
Are more aggressive?
I can ask. Yes, the most aggressive startups.
I believe that we look at India as, because two reasons. We are also from the Indian origin, and we know that the ecosystem there is working like very rapidly. It's growing. So we look at India as a market, but also on the contrary of my current experience of talking to startups in and out, I see a lot of other emerging countries, even African countries. There are some wonderful startups that are coming out of there. So yeah, I mean, it's super exciting to see. And even in spite in London also, I have a lot of founders that I've interacted with, or we've onboarded as well, that are from London, and they're also doing great things. And also, if you're really interested, there was one more point. At the university, I was also a part of the incubator, so the Q incubator.
Yes, I saw you. I saw that in your
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah, so if you like anybody is wanting to build a startup from scratch, then I guess that's a very good start. That's super like insightful as well, because they kind of relate you to I mean, they get you connected to different mentors, and then there are sessions and you go through the whole process. It was phenomenal in itself.
Okay. And what is the reason behind the startup founders are not going for traditional funding? They are going for crowdfunding. What are the main reason behind this?
I would say they're building a community as well. So when you go out for crowdfunding, it kind of helps you reach out. Like, it's sort of a marketing campaign as well. You reach out to a lot of
Yes.
people who believe in your idea and who are with you since a very early stage. So
Yes.
that is one of the reasons why you would want to go ahead with a crowdfunded round. Also, when it comes to VCs, sometimes a lot of startups, so there are different types of crowdfunding. Equity crowdfunding is not the only one, but there is reward-based crowdfunding as well. So in reward-based crowdfunding, again, like ideally you're not shedding off that kind of equity. So at times when as a startup, you don't really want to shed out equity at that early stage, then you would want to go ahead with a reward-based crowdfunding, a setup where you would give them some kind of benefits, some kind of discounts, or maybe once you develop your first prototype, you would want to extend it to them first over other consumers. Then perhaps you would want to go for crowdfunding over traditional rounds of funding.
Okay. Actually, I was working with that startup in London only, Bayfikar. Have you heard about it? I don't know. Bayfikar.
Oh,
Yes, it's a cross-border. It's a cross-border remittance like app,
Okay.
and currently dealing with UK Pakistan corridor. Now they are exploring India and Bangladesh as well.
Oh, wow,
So
that's quite
they
interesting.
had pre-seed funding. Now they are going for Series A funding or seed funding.
Oh, wow, that's quite interesting. I would definitely look them up.
Yes, Bayfikar. It's Bayfikar.
Bayfikar. Oh, nice. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for letting me know.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your
Um,
feedbacks and like
No,
answers.
Abaja, I mean, if we continue in this way, next year we can do a TikTok, we can be all over the Instagram, etc. Because we need more interactivity. So thank you for your question. This is, I mean, from academic viewpoint, because maybe some of these people will be looking and thinking, what does it mean? But your questions are very good. Your API question reminded me about a little problem that we have in this API world, which is coming from a practical perspective. When you ask people like Tinkle or TrueLayer, it seems that they're charging a lot of money.
Yes,
And I've seen recently the situation that fintechs cannot keep subsidizing cost of using TrueLayer or Think APIs, because after, I don't know, 5 calls a month, you realize that this user costs you like £50 per year, and this £50 is very difficult to make in your fintech, which means that there is ample space to grow, to find cheaper APIs, right? So we need to push. We can't let only these usual suspects to proceed and create this oligopoly. So that is one possible research project, and the second idea about reward-based crowdfunding. It is absolutely great. This community building. I feel that Invest Engine, which is a wealth tech, is doing well recently, I don't know, over the last year. And it is great to see competition, even to these old brands like Nutmeg and Wealthfront, etc., that someone started 2 years ago and slowly goes through hundreds and thousands of people. And the reason why I'm mentioning them, because I think they've just closed the crowdfunding campaign, was that they had a couple of tiers, and if you have invested like £100 in crowdfunding, you would get a 6 months free asset management, and for £1,000 you can get, I don't know, one year of free asset management, which is great. Oh, by the way, I just spotted Azim unmuting myself. Was that intentionally, or would you like to ask a question? Azim, go ahead if you do. Well, probably not. This was by mistake, so we can continue chatting. So, so Ajay, a great question. Some of these questions are actually very deep. How far this reward funding can go, and does it mean that just you can even model this situation, because somebody like Invest Engine can find a point where a given crowdfunding investment is going to offset cost of running your robo-advisor for a while. So you can think about a situation that if you give them £10,000, they will, for the lifetime of you as a client, run this robo-advisory for free, which is a brilliant proposition. So it would be a great MSc project. By the way, Ajay, can you do MSc? Have you decided on a topic, or can you influence your topic?
I'm doing valuation. And like we don't have any option in starting. If I had this option of fintech, doing something with fintech, I could have done that, but we don't have any option like that.
No. Stick to valuation. Valuation is so hard. Even Zeal can confirm that. We have no idea where this.
Yes. I guess there is always so much to the table to go through, crunch that kind of data and get the right numbers. So, I also had like one of my electives, or like the private equity and venture capital, we did study a lot on valuations and how to value startups and stuff like that. It was quite interesting. And
I have same modules as you have, like merger and acquisition, private equity, venture capital, and fintech, all of three.
Oh, that's quite nice.
And do you feel, if I may ask both of you, do you feel that you have learned enough about entrepreneurial finance, stage investments, I don't know, convertibles to keep you going? How do you feel about that, Zil? What would be useful emphasizing inside fintech a bit to help people to deal with valuation? Because I have this situation at other places, not necessarily Queen Mary, where I need to give very low marks for people who are coming up with the ideas to invest in something without mentioning valuation, which is obviously almost a clear fail.
That's the majority part, yeah. I believe that it did help. So there is like a yes and no to answer, because the kind of startups that we look at today, at least when we are focusing at the Indian markets, the valuations, everything. Of course, academically, it's great. I do feel that it comes into use, but there is so much more to it. And depending upon the geography that you're looking at, the narrative keeps on changing. Even when I'm looking at startups from Africa, or if I'm looking at startups from the UK, there is so much, like when we talk about the market conditions and all of that, so valuations go up and down because of that. So I feel that there is more room to the knowledge that we gained at the university, but also, like I said, that for the formative years, it's enough also.
Okay, thank you. And remember that we need not just good stories. We can make use of bad stories. So even if someone fails, there is a learning lesson in all that. And I must confess, I was one of early users and investors in WeSwap that disappeared during COVID days, which was a brilliant proposition 5 years ago and even 3 years ago. And regrettably, there are no more. And even if you come across people who fail, or if you discover, if they're happy to share stories, we're very happy to listen to stories and go through these lessons learned with someone. Because I know that some people will keep marching on and will keep fighting. And we need these serial entrepreneurial people who will never, ever give up. And if we can find them in California, we'll find them in, I don't know, Mumbai or whatever. I don't care.
Definitely. No, definitely. I believe that a lot of startups that I have seen also, like a couple of these founders, they're not like first time founders. They tried doing something, it didn't work, so they swapped like this. So I guess that's one of the qualities about founders that I really appreciate, is that execute as fast as you can. And if something's not working, it's okay. Stop that, restart again, that you do something else. And that attitude, I believe, takes you a long way ahead, like when your execution is above, because you can't really be perfect at something without trying it. You have to execute it, try, test it out, or learn out of other people's experience, of course. But try it out, execute, see if the market. And again, like as a consumer, it's deciding what your consumer might or might not like is also difficult. So it's always easy to try it out, try a sample set of people, make them use your product, understand where they are, like they don't like the user experience or they're dropping off, and then streamline the process, make it more better, understand your consumer, again start over again. So that takes you a long way.
Thank you. This is so much week 3 identity and financial profile and risk, etc., etc. I have to remind. Now, it seems that after 40 minutes, we are doing very well, and Azim has got a question. So, Azim, can you please unmute yourself and go ahead?
Hi, Azil, and hi, Gago. Sorry, I have a lot of questions, but I've been driving. I'm actually traveling today, and this is why I was so adamant that that this be recorded. But one thing that really struck out to me, apart from the more technical and how Drago has wonderfully structured the course, it's not so much to do with the exam related, or it's more to do with, you mentioned psychometric tests that you have to do.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think what will help me answer it better is, are you a Scrum Master by any chance?
No, I am not a Scrum Master.
Okay.
So I've just been in the process of taking a lot of psychometric tests, because while like the day I started with my university, I also started applying for jobs, because I always, like you, I suppose, even I had like 20 hours to work, and I just wanted to be a part of something that's doing something. I have that habit of doing something. Yeah.
So my background is in project management. So I'm approved Prince 2 and Agile and everything. And I've worked on a wealth tech app on, sorry, not wealth tech. It's kind of like wealth tech. It was an umbrella app that I was trying to get through, but we got in trouble with the embedded finance aspect of it. So now taking this course, I now realize where maybe how we could have, maybe if we had access to maybe Web 3.0 at the time, we could have maybe been able to work through the logistics a little bit better. But have you got anything for me in terms of trainings or anything that I could undertake alongside my, for example, Scrum or Lean Six Sigma kind of trainings that I could do for FinTech?
For FinTech, I suppose, like, are you talking about some courses that can get you a job or so? Or are you looking just like to learn more? Because there are portals where, like, I did take up a little bit of courses on Coursera. I did a course on blockchain, because that was not my forte, and that was not one of the modules that I had access to. So core blockchain, that was something. So I did take up courses on Coursera, or you could even try LinkedIn Learning is also fantastic. And if you're looking to apply for a specific company, then perhaps you could try Forage. It's spelled as Forage, and they have like big 4 companies, or those big BCGs, or there's ENY and stuff like that. So they have specific roles, and based on that role, they have designed a course. So you could probably take that course up, and it kind of helps you get into that company. Also, it's like a training sort of that they provide, that take like this 5-week course, and there is an assignment towards the end of each course, and then you have to submit it, and that kind of helps as well.
It's quite similar to what the structure that you just alluded to. It's quite similar to what I'm doing right now in it's called Lean Six Sigma.
Okay.
And a lot of the jobs I've been applying to, which are fintech related as well, they're asking for it. But I personally don't see the relevance. I would think that maybe Print 2 is more, or even Scrum would be more apt for the fintech kind of region. Because I understand going through sprints, but I don't understand where we have like the building of the epics and stuff. So have you yourself come under direct experience of building an epic, and could you tell us what that kind of
well, my knowledge related to that will be quite limited because I've had not much exposure to this. I'm really sorry. I wish I could have helped you better, but
no,
no, I'm really sorry.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, because I'm all over the place now. I'm just on just going back onto the motorway. But if I might have to cut the call now. But if I would love to ask you some questions on LinkedIn or something, because I have so many on my head right now, and because of where I am right now, I don't have all the particular buzzwords in my recall at the moment. But thank you very much. I'll be listening.
No problem, definitely. And if I could help you in any other way, maybe if I can't, then I could connect you to somebody that could help you. I would love to do that. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and just write to me, and I'll write back.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raga, as well. Lovely hearing, it's like a podcast, while I'm driving.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being a part.
Drive safely. Drive safely.
Yes.
Pity that we don't have this autonomous driving yet, where you can just turn off. Okay, thank you, Azim. That's a beautiful question. Yeah, week 8, like API, and I wish we could spend more time on technology, but it's just difficult because even at places like UCL, I've tried to check if some people would be happy to develop some code and go from Python to Rails or a banking as a service system where we can get access to a sandbox. But regrettably, less than 10% of students, which means like 3 to 5 students per cohort, would be happy to get hands dirty in technical way, and it just doesn't make sense. So maybe in the future, if there is like Fintech 201, where we can take people from Python to Python for Fintech, then we will be able to do the APIs and technical, because clearly Ajay and Azim are very technically proficient, which is great. This is very much week 8, but that is, it doesn't mean that actually we need to be technical. And in order to make some other people happy with their background and job prospects, 2 things are coming to my mind. One is, as we fly from London back home to India, we're passing places like Istanbul and Dubai. And do you feel that going forward, we will be able to make these stopovers and develop these local communities and find startups along the way? How do you feel about this global perspective that maybe I don't know, your next business trip should be Singapore or Dubai? How global and international do you see crowdfunding and fintech? Do you believe that some people can start searching for jobs in Singapore or Dubai? What is your outlook beyond London and home?
Oh, well, you just, so the thing is that next week I will be traveling to Dubai. I'm going to Dubai for a fintech summit there. And we're also, because Crowd Invest in itself is a global platform, we are not just about Indian startups, but because we come from India, the co-founder is of Indian origin, and so am I. So that's one way. And also the ecosystem in India is growing rapidly. So that's why we say that, we're pushing on Indian startups, but that's not the vision of the company. We intend to be a global platform where we can help startups from any of the emerging markets. Like I already mentioned, we have a couple of startups that are from Africa, and they are doing phenomenal. And we want to support these kind of startups, and that's the reason why, I mean, I'm flying to Dubai also for similar reasons, so that I can get in touch with more and more founders. We also have a couple of investors that we're looking at over there who can come, and then who wish to invest globally can be a part of our platform and can invest in these kind of startups. So that's one. And regarding jobs also, I believe that irrespective today, at least after COVID, the trend has become that, you know, a lot of these companies have become more comfortable with remote opportunities, may it be in fintech or without being a part of fintech. Also, a lot of these industries have adapted to a system where you have your employees working remotely. And even, I guess, one of the fintech companies that I can think of is Revolut, which is quite big of a company. They have their office, yet a lot of their roles, which are like core roles, are remote. They don't require you to come into office. You can just sit wherever on the planet and just work for that company. So that's an amazing trend that I see.
No, thank you, which is very important, because many people will be looking for jobs elsewhere. And I don't mind if some of my students end up in Singapore or in Nairobi or Dubai, and we should not forget that some other corridors are perfectly acceptable. And there are so many other places where we can find a very interesting lifestyle, and there are ecosystems in, I don't know, Baltic and other places. And one more question, because I feel that I had around 20% of female students at Queen Mary, and I have to play this very carefully, but you are a female fintech professional, and how do you feel about that role? Because there are other ladies that I could see every week, and maybe they need that little push to follow into your steps. But do you feel that you have seen enough fintech ladies in startups? What can we do to incentivize more girls like you staying on a fintech pathway? Any messages to any ladies listening to this recording? What shall we do?
Oh, well, like you're rightly saying that even if you look at industry stat, you'll see that I perhaps read somewhere that only 17% of the whole VC industry is women, or even when it comes to startups, the amount of female founders are much lesser. But the stats also say that if it's a female founded business, then it does. The stats said that it did better than what the male founded businesses were. I'm not trying to say that, you know, men are not doing better, but I believe that I don't believe in discrimination like that. If you're passionate about something, then just go ahead and do it. There is nothing that is stopping you. And I guess all the men around me were as welcoming and as supportive in each and every endeavor that I took up. So perhaps, like, you know, touch would have been lucky like that, to have that kind of men around me. But in simple language, I guess, if there is no seat at the table for you, carry a seat from home, go over there and sit there and attend it and make your mark and come back. That's about it.
Thank you, which is a great message for many other students who kept, you know, shy and quiet and listening very carefully. And I know that many of them will be listening to this recording. Right, you see, time flies. I mean, it's almost 1 hour. And maybe this is the last opportunity for, I don't know, Yüksel, Cem, to ask questions in any way, because Azim should be very carefully driving along the motorway. So I'm tempted to start closing down this to keep everything very reasonable, because I have to plan for 60 students, but luckily this is still confined to Queen Mary. We did not advertise this on LinkedIn or Twitter. we could have done so, but we did not. So this is still a privilege of Queen Mary. But this is last 5 minutes. Any other questions that anyone else would like to ask through chat or Ajay? Yes, I can see unmuting. Go ahead.
Any learning opportunity available with Crowd Invest, like internship or something like that? Direct question.
Oh, well, I'll have to check in. I am not the right or authorized person rather to say if there is any, but I could ask around. I could check with the co-founders if they were looking for any job roles at the moment, and also if I could understand what your background is like and what core field would you like to contribute to, then maybe I could check in directly. I really don't have any issues. I
No
could
issues, no issues.
get
I
you
have sent you
interacted with
the
the founders as
request.
well.
I have sent you the request on LinkedIn. I'll share my CV with you.
Definitely, I'll accept the request, and also I'll be happy to help you wherever I can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No, that is very kind of you, Zil. You see, the great secret in building these kind of networks is always to ask every single startup after interviewing everything and say, would you like to take one intern? I have a good friend. I have a few of them. You can
I
always
did that, and I have
Brilliant.
I have no shame in saying that asking for a job is, I mean, it's very, I carry no shame whenever I went to all of these events or wherever I thought that I did like a particular startup or a VC fund that was there, and like I'm talking about all the mixer events that I was a part of, and I did bluntly ask them a question that if you're looking to hire somebody now or later, this is my CV, please let me know if there is something that comes up. So
Brilliant.
that
Thank
kind of
you.
helps.
And you see, after 55 minutes, we have Yüksel. Yüksel, please go ahead. I can see that you raised your
Hello.
hand.
Thanks for everything with joining us in today. My question is going to be related to banks are turning into the technology companies. You're in the sector, and what's your observations about like banks are doing right now, just supporting the fintech apps, and just innovations? What's from your perspective? I just wanted to know that.
Oh, well, there are like things that I would like to add. So it's the banks is one layer, but I would go even above that and see how governments are introducing new set of currencies. Like for just speaking about India, so there is CBDCs that they have released where, or even in China also they have some centralized currency. I've forgotten the name. So governments are also adapting to technology. And then the second layer, talking about banks, of course, technology has changed a lot of things for us. It streamlines the process, it makes it more secure, it makes things more transparent. And also it's become more and more user friendly. So and also one more trend that I see is that when you talk about the rurals, at least again talking because I come from India and I read a lot about the startups that what they're doing over there. So today each and every person in the rurals of India has a bank account and is accessing that through a fintech company or is using remittance apps where they have their sons or daughters or people abroad and they're like sending in money, they're transacting through probably a digital wallet. And that's like changing things. It just it's a growing industry, and this innovation has streamlined a lot of processes and given a lot of opportunities, not only job opportunities, but it has made more opportunities in different industries as well. So that's kind of my 2 bits.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Thank you, Yüksel. Right. Well, exactly 1 hour.
Yes.
1 hour passed. Well, I'm so pleased that this went well, because this is a proper way to do things. Because we are now in a position to go bottom up. You're a former student. You're just 1 year into your professional life in London, and we are hedging ourselves. now you're meeting new students, and you know that if everything goes not brilliant, you can also count on help of some senior professors back, at Queen Mary and myself. So if it goes both ways, so top down, even from a, if you like, board level or non-executive directorships, etc., something in this big network. Because governance will remain a problem in many startups, and some people will be struggling to relinquish control, to, I don't know, organize proper fundraising, etc. And that is where they will need to seek help. And these are uncharted waters. I mean, we don't have a textbook for fintech. It's so difficult to teach, and this, we just all gave our best shot. And the fact that you are in a fintech 1 year after learning what fintech is very good news. And this is like breaking these new grounds. And I hope that some people will follow.
I hope so too. I'm looking forward to a future entrepreneurs in fintech, and I'm more than excited to network with more and more people. So I'm always happy to be a part of wherever you need me.
Thank you. Thank you. So we will repeat this next year, and maybe we will upgrade this to something related to your specific thing. Maybe one of my current students will end up in a startup for managing identity, or I don't know, central bank digital currency. So there will be more people to help me along the way. I don't have to invent these cases. So, but I'm tempted to complete this after 1 hour. I'm so happy that you managed to join me straight from work, and this will be recorded. I'll share this link with you. Maybe somebody would like to re-edit or make it more beautiful and more professional. But truly, this was a great experience that will be remembered. And if I put this on a YouTube, I know that we will be able to check how many people have watched this, but we will decide that offline. Zil, thank you on behalf of 60 plus students, this cohort. And looking forward to next year, and maybe looking forward to students who will be helping you and me going forward.
Definitely. I hope by the next year I have more experience and more to contribute to the table. Sorry for today, like if I must have missed any of the questions or might have not been able to reply to it appropriately, maybe. But
No, you did well, and people now on LinkedIn realize what we have done. Some of them may be asking for a secret copy of recording or a link. We will decide what to do with them. Take care, Zil, and I'm looking forward to have a chai, coffee in a few weeks' time, somewhere in London. Guys, thank you a lot for joining us, and best luck to everyone in fintech. Thank you, Ajay. Thanks, guys. Okay, bye, everybody. It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Drago. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Xal. Bye. Bye, Azim.